Hello, and I am so excited today to welcome you to our interview with Alison Green Myers. So, do I have your name right?
You have it absolutely right.
All of a
Hi.
sudden, I started thinking, wait a minute, Alison Myers Green? Those three names, those three names, you just like, oh, do I have it the right order? I did have it right. Hurrah, hurrah.
Mhm.
And your book is A Bird Will Soar. So, can you tell us a little bit about A Bird Will Soar and how it soared
Sure.
into being?
Sure, here it is.
Ooh, it's so
Yes.
pretty.
Thank you. Yeah, I think well, I taught third grade for a long time, and I remember teaching input output machines a lot. I don't know, but I think like there's been a lot of input over 44 years. So maybe if I would have tried to write the book 10 years ago, it would have been a different book or whatever. But I kind of think there are two main catalysts for how it, you know, became like, oh, I think this is a tangible story I can tell. And one of them, you know, we're a neurodiverse family, and
Mm.
we talk a lot about the way that our brains process things because all of us come to the table processing things very differently. And I really had started to like journal about that, write poetry about that, my own path. Also, like as a parent, as a teacher, um, talked to my neurologist and counselors, and really started to get kind of hooked on how the brain processes things. And so, like, that became this one thing. I knew I had something I wanted to say about the way that we show on the outside what we're processing, but really how it feels on the inside. And I think if you've read the book, hopefully that theme comes through. Um, and then I think another thing was like definitely more concrete because it was a an event that happened in our woods. I live in a very rural area.
We can tell.
Yeah. And we had a tornado come
Mm.
through and touch down in many places. And we belong to the Delaware Valley Raptor Center, which I write about in the book a little bit. And there were 4 eaglets displaced during that storm. And we just were so engaged. Like, they rescued the eaglets, and they set 3 to the sky, and they had it on their YouTube channel and we could watch it, and we were so excited. But then we just kept wondering, like, what about this 4th eagle? What about this 4th? They're not saying anything about this eaglet. And there was so much that had turned upside down kind of during that time. But we go to their educational programming every year, and we went in that first year. So it was maybe 4 months after the storm. There was a new cage there. There's a new crate. And at the very end, Bill, the rehabber, brings out this eagle, and he said, her name is Lizzie. She was, not going to be able to be released like the other 3 were. And we were just so hooked. And then, of course, the last few years, we couldn't go back to the yearly program because it was not safe.
Right.
But this August we went back, and all we could talk about in the car then was, first, is Lizzie going to be there? And then second, it was like, will she be fully mature? Because at that time she was not, she was immature, and she's in transition right now. So she has some, white head, some white
Oh,
tail
wow.
feathers. So like by next year, so I think those two things, I was thinking about this family processing the storm, a literal storm, and how
Right.
much we love the Raptor Rehab Center near us. And then also kind of some of these concepts of like the way that we process things inside and outside too.
Wow.
I
So
think
you
that those were
so
the main things.
right. But a true story. It's always interesting when there's a true story that prompts part of the book and part of that creative process.
Mhm.
So talk to me a little about the neurodiverse characters, because Axel is clearly in that he's a neurodiverse character, and it sounds like members of your family are as well.
Mhm.
So that's such a challenging thing to get right, and I'm told, and and it sounds like you have some firsthand experience with that. So tell us a little bit more about that, if you will.
Yeah, I think well, the hopefully, in particular, the story, the cast in the story, it's a pretty large cast of
It is.
characters. And
And
hopefully,
not just people. I mean, dogs and
but
yeah.
hopefully they're all bringing in the perspective of kind of diverse thought and processing. There are a lot of things happening in this family, and each person is bringing to that kind of mystery of like what's keeping this family apart. Everybody's bringing something different to it in their best way of like how to solve or reconcile with the space that they're in. And so I think in writing the story, it's told in third person. It's a pretty close third person to the main character, Axel, who is autistic. And Axel, like, it was so important for me to showcase that he really loves his life. He has, a close group of friends. He has a supportive network of adults. He loves birds. He loves dogs. He loves nature. And he has this freedom to really explore his world, like right outside his door, but also his thoughts. There's a whole theme about thinking time and quiet thinking time. And so, like me, I think I was looking for what are all of my ways that I'm connected to Axel too, because I think when we create a character, we start with, being very, very close and almost protective of that character. And then we kind of, move back. And, Axel is very empathetic like me. He's empathetic to humans and animals and things in nature. And this means we feel deep feelings, whether it's hurt or it's joy. And sometimes then having to process, because we might be flooded with those emotions, and then processing and parceling out exactly what they mean. Axel is also dealing with his anxieties about some things that are happening that he just doesn't know all of the information about, which is so frustrating for any of us, right? When it's like,
and we can all relate
I know
to
that. And so, that was something that I was definitely bringing into it, because there are themes of alcoholism and separation, which are, personally very relevant to me. And then, autism and found family and,
found family. Yes. I love the family that develops around this, I guess, a core family, but then it's so much bigger than that. And I just love that you can choose your family this way.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of it has to do with growth too. Like a lot of it's about nature. And so it's a lot about like what's springing up around you. And I think family can do that. We know about family we're born into, but we also know about what a support network feels like. And that's really what the hope was with this family, for sure.
And I should make sure that people know that there's a wonderful educator's guide on your website. And that's AlisonGreenMyers.com. No, what is it?
It is. It's AlisonGreenMyers.com. That's nice and
amazing.
Easy.
So we'll be sure to have a link to that below this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
This video. But lots of great ideas and discussion questions and things can be found there. So I just need to say thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today about A Bird Will Soar. We didn't even really get into your fascination with birds. I guess we'll have to have a part 2. I don't know.
I know. Well, can you tell me what your favorite bird is before we go?
Oh my goodness, that's so hard. I'm very fond of kingfishers, but nice. Sandpipers, those kinds of. Oh, there you go. You know what? I like magpies.
Oh, how about
nobody else does, but I think they're beautiful.
I do know someone who would mention their favorite bird was a magpie. So you at least have one other partner in the world.
So there are 2 of us. Okay, there you have it. Well, thank you. What is your favorite bird? I mean, I'm guessing eagle, but
no, it really depends on what's going on outside the window. Last year we had barred owls, and so it was barred owls. This year we had an American kestrel in our yard, which is like bananas, and I was totally into it and I talked too much about it.
I saw one of those in a neighbor's yard, and I was amazed at how close it let me get, take a picture. Yeah. And I was like, I'm in her space, but you're really cool.
Yeah, amazing. Really
so
amazing.
It's amazing. Well, A Bird Will Soar Alison Green Myers, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you. Thanks very much.